Okay, so I was gonna write up reviews for Florence Foster Jenkins and Warcraft, cause Lord knows I'm already late to the party on those two films, but that, man. I need to talk about this show. Dude, this show. I hate it. I hate it for making me feel these stupid feelings, for breaking my heart and You can't do that. I mean, we'll get back to you, Florence, because you made me feel some not okay feelings too, but right now it's your turn, Miss Kerman, Netflix. Who's responsible for this? I want to know right now so I can have them crucified. This show is sad, and I am sad, and everything is awful. But hey, the joke's on me, right? This is all my fault. This is all our collective faults for thinking we could ever walk into a show about the prison system and not be reminded of how hopeless everything is and how nothing and no one good in this world remains untarnished. And this show, and life, and you, and everything. Hope? There is no hope. Life is just one long tightrope over a pit of molten lava and rusty nails, and everyone has clubbed feet, and the moment you slip up, you're doomed forever. It's all just one big joke, except the punchline is me wanting to eradicate life on the planet. Okay, I have calmed myself. I apologize. Sincerely, that was out of character, and I don't want to insult my title even more than I already have by devolving into an entire video of angry ranting. That'd just be unprofessional, and that. I ain't done! You, you're cool, and you, I'm out! And I went ahead and made things needlessly difficult for myself because now I have to spend a solid minute providing context for this thing because I know not everyone who follows me watches it, taking up more time than I already have because of this show and its stupid making me feel things. You did this to me. This is your fault. Orange is the New Black is one of those Netflix original series so ubiquitous that if you've ever even used Netflix, odds are 90% that you've seen it with good reason. It's a well-written, well-acted, well-directed, and incredibly engaging show following cushy yuppie Piper Chapman as she's tossed into the Litchfield prison facility and has to cope with prison lifestyle. Although I suppose followed past tense is a better descriptor since I wouldn't even classify Piper as the main character after season 1. As the viewer and Piper herself acclimate to the prison, the cliques and workers therein start to take up way more focus than she does. Even from the word go, however, every episode has put the spotlight on a different character, and each one takes a once-upon-a-time-esque approach to its presentation, with half the running time spent on flashbacks pertaining to the character in focus and how they got where they are. I'm all for shows filled with witty humor, focus on character, and incredibly large intermingling cast, so this thing had me hooked early, and honestly I think there's something in it for everyone. Unfortunately, my previously displayed, passion regarding this show is rooted in the fact that of all the shows I would count among my favorites, this is easily the most fatalistic, cynical, and depressing. That may raise some eyebrows, because I know this show is nowhere near as bad as it gets, but I mean, that type of tone usually turns me off to something right quick. I mentioned that this show was about coping in the prison system, but that's a lie. Because this show goes out of its way to stomp on top of the idea that you ever could cope. Practically every character in this thing is hilarious in some way, but prison is always portrayed as a setting that makes you emotionally dead. The good things that happen are slight and never enough to stop the characters from being emotionally and mentally warped and whether they be prisoners or guards or whatever. Once or twice a character or dynamic may emerge that acts as a ray of hope, as an indication that some slight bit of good could come out of this place. But when you've got race wars brewing, drug addiction, actual psychoses, lying, cheating, manipulation, rape, authority figures who are downright sociopaths, you're reminded that hope is a sham, and in a setting like this, things will never be better for anyone, ever. It almost reminds me of Scandal, except I actually hate that show, because it doesn't seem to realize the statement it's making about how all of its characters are complete monsters. Oh yes, Scandal. I'm coming after you too one day. You and your brothers and sisters. No, Orange is the New Black knows what it's saying about its characters, and it asks you not only to revel in their monstrosity, but to find them sympathetic, and it manages to do this 70% of the time by being gut-bustingly funny. Now granted, I don't want to make it seem like all or even most of the actual prisoners have crossed some kind of line that prevents audience sympathy under normal circumstances, but the primary theme of Season 4 is the humanity present in all of these characters, and humor is a great way to convey humanity. Even for the characters who do cross a line, it's impossible to dismiss them as just evil mustache twirlers or anything less than living, breathing people who all ended up the way they are because of things like environment or bad luck or just one selfish decision that sent them on a path of no return. Throughout all 4 seasons, the amount of characters I go from wishing death upon to sympathizing with honestly baffles even myself. The only exceptions are, unironically, the bigwig corporate folks who actually own the prison and display not a solitary ounce of humanity or perspective in their handful of scenes. But to tackle the characters and their plotlines one by one would be insanely time-consuming, and I find that, no insult intended, this is the kind of show that's good in a really boring way, where all I have to do is point you to it and you should be able to piece together everything that works about it for yourself. Or who knows, maybe there's just so much stuff going on in this show that it's difficult to talk about it without just defaulting to vague platitudes that apply to every single plotline equally. What can I say? There's just no part of this show that I'm not invested in. Although that may be a double-edged sword that betrays the season's biggest weakness, which is that I personally think this show is getting a bit too big for its britches. Like I said, it's always been a big show, but we're 4 seasons in and cast members have just been piling up with no indication that it'll ever slow down. The whole show just feels cluttered now because we have to keep up with so many people per episode. The jumping around is fun because I'm invested, but by the end of the season, when things start getting real, it gets real for everyone. The entire last 3 episodes are just like a constant series of kicks to the nads, and by the time the final episode begins, I'm just emotionally numb and dead inside, and that's when the bits of humor start to feel obtrusive. Don't get me wrong, I love this show for its humor, and it would be weird to have any episode without it, but it's only slightly less weird to be at the place where we are by the end of the series and to have so many distracting tangents that are just there to lighten the mood and never quite do the job. It's a case of comic relief that I found made me groan more than I did laugh because the show did too good a job putting me out of the mood for shenanigans. It's one of the only times I'd say the story suffered from me binge-watching it, but since that's how I've conditioned myself to watch this show, I didn't consider any alternative. Basically what I'm saying is, fair warning, maybe you want to space out the last 3 episodes instead of tackling them one right after the other. Just saying. I don't know why I'm even doing this. I'm not even gonna label this an actual review. Maybe I'll do something more interesting and lengthy and focused regarding this show down the line, but without spoilers, there's only so much I can say about this thing that isn't, oh god, please help me, I'm not well, and I blame you. I wish I could give you a more substantive video about this thing that I've just experienced, but I needed to vent. I'm sorry. Like and subscribe or whatever, I'm gonna go lay down and die.